Khula Aasman, as you see it now, it is a process, a work in process, because it's constantly moving from one space to another.
The project tells the story of Partition through her eyes and relies on her father's autobiography, Mitrupiaarainu, to unpack that story.
My father started writing his autobiography in 2010. By 2016, 17, some of the chapters were almost done. I was going to the US with my own presentation, with my own work, but I thought of taking some of the chapters along with me to, and I translated them in English and I took them to the US, both East and West Coast. I was very surprised by the response because it was talking about the loss, nostalgia, pain, hurt, shame. At the same time, it was also talking about a lot about memory and identity.
To this story, she has further used her ample imagination as well as other media and friendly dispatches from across the border who flesh it out and give it a vivid serif body.
I was moved. I realized that this is not something which is only my story, my father's story. And as decided earlier to move on with the project, I started working on it, on the visuals. But the most of the visuals that I worked on initially were my family archives, photographs directly used without my interference of any other medium in it. There was a complete performance which I picked up from my father's book, along with my own stories in it, along with the songs and with movement artists and with music that I created myself. And this was presented by KCC Kolkata Creativity Center. I think Richa Agarwal was extremely generous and she hosted the whole show for a complete month, and she hosted the performance and the rest of the talks and everything. It was overwhelming for me, I must say. And then during that process, I was already moving on. That show also was curated by Advait.
In this project, we see a variety of different media. There is a multi-channel film, Akse Guzishta or Mirroring the Past. Then we have a Phulkari, which was commissioned in collaboration with women's collective in Basi Pathan.
I had already started moving on in my visuals of how to bring about more stories that I'd heard or I had read, not only from my father, but from my aunts, from my grandfather, from other members of the family, which were very touching. They were not about pain, they were not about so much about loss, but they were about rejoicing, celebration, celebrating the land that they belong to. 18 generations have been apart, they have been born in this space on the foothills of Himalayas. It is called Pindadan Khan near Rawalpindi. And 8 generations who were Hakims are clearly mentioned in Daddy's book, in Mr. K.D. Kohli's book.
So in this project, we see a lot of reconstruction through memory of the life that the family had before they moved to India under duress. And they were based in a small village called Pindadan Khan. And a lot of the landscapes takes us back to this village and what it was like living there.
I wanted to tell their story. I wanted to talk about uh, what it meant, what connection with the land, the skies, the animals, the rivers results into, other than the materialistic connections that we have in today's time. Uh, As we were moving on, Advait and me were in constant touch with each other. Advait knew that I was planning another iteration, another edition of the same show that we had done earlier, but he did not want to include anything from the past show. We wanted to move on into another space. And so it resulted in a lot of work, a lot of experimentation. I was very sure that I wanted to talk about herbs. I was very sure about the food habits that my grandfather had brought in our life, like kamiri roti, like that is fermented atta, and the roti that they make, gulkand, the various murabbas that were made, and the rest of the thing like lohe ka kadai in which you cook food, or the lohe ka tawa that is needed to cook food. I have never made anything any roti on other than a lohe ka tawa. So I realized that these habits were going very deep into our daily routine, and they needed to be discussed.
And we also have a range of paintings, lithographs, silver gelatin prints, and a collaborative installation undertaken with Ishita Day, which recreates the Dawakhana of her grandfather, who was an 18th generation practitioner.
Dawakhana is an art installation and a collaborative work with Seema Kohli. I'm Ishita De. I teach at the South Asian University. And apart from that, I take deep interest in migration, food, labor, and census. In Dawakhana, what we have tried to do is to recreate a Dawakhana which might have been there in Pindadan Khan in undivided India.
My grandfather, though an eighth generation Unani and Ayurvedic Hakim, had moved to India during partition, and he could never continue with his practice after that due to various reasons, the displacement, due to the loss of the acquisition of herbs.
This idea of the Dawakhana comes from Hakim Chunnilal Kohli's immense practice in Pindadan Khan and then in post partition India. Hakim Chunnilal Kohli was one of the major Hakims in the 18th and an 18th generation Hakim in the long line of practitioners in Seema Kohli's family.
So there was a constant, I think he was constantly trying to somewhere grab his past. I have seen my grandfather and my father make ark, the gulab ark, you know, so that it could be, we could consume it in our daily routine. The other things like he wanted to do was hikmat, the seva, or helping the people in need with a better health. That was not possible, and that remained a loss till the end of his life.
The major resources that we took for this installation comes from Seema Kohli's family archives. One of the important books in his possession was Magzane Hikmat, which you see in this installation. We have taken the appendix of the book, and the appendix of the book is in English, and much of the text also has beautiful drawings of herbs and anatomical drawings. So when we think about Unani practice that Hakim Chunnilal embodied, it was not only a training in medical prescription, but it also meant training in anatomy, training in herbs, and training in also machines.
He was constantly wanting to go back to the village, any village, and be with the people and look after them. You know, that was his thing. I tried to recreate that in this part of the exhibition. And for this, Ishita De, an anthropologist, uh, I collaborated with her, which was really a very big I think understanding that she had of the subject of herbs and how to, sort of make it relevant to the whole exhibition.
The book has beautiful drawings and descriptions of how machines had to be made, and we see a depiction of the machines on the beautiful bedspread we have used in the charpoy. Unlike the medicinal practice of today, in those days, when patients used to walk into Hakim Chunilal Kohli's house in Pindadan Khan, they would be offered first a roti and a spread of gulkand. In the installation, we invite you to smell the various fruit preserves that were kept as part of nourishing the body. The entire Unani practice that Akin Chunilal embodied and the hikmat that he practiced clearly tells us of a way and a life where the nutrition and medical well-being was intrinsically linked to each other.
I haven't been able to grab, I can't, a very expansive way, but whatever I heard from my Krishna Bua about how the clinic used to look, there used to be murabbas, there used to be bottles full of various herbs and medicines, which they used to, my elder Bua would make.
Rose is an important part not only of the prescriptions which you find in the medicinal bottles, but also the rose plant was an integral part to Kohli household in Rajendra Nagar. On the left hand side, in the installation roots, we pay a tribute to a search for home, a search for roots, a breakaway from the past, and creating new journeys and struggles to create new livelihood.
They were herbs of inheritance, which I had started working in 2022 during the time of COVID. I wasn't too sure whether I will be showing these works or not, because there was a lot of history with these herbs. I had sort of picked them up from my grandfather's book, which was published in 1918, and the 16th or the 17th edition is with me, which is here. You can see in the appendix, it is written, the publishing date and everything is there.
These are journeys of a grandfather to Tibia College near Karol Bagh to study medicine. These also include journeys of parents to the nearby pilgrim shrine of Katas Raj. Then there is a journey taken by the family in a military truck to Shimla and via there to Delhi, and then subsequent perambulations through the country before the family finally settled in Delhi at some point. And then there are also journeys that could never be undertaken. We have Yamuna, who was a family cow, who was looked after by Seema's Tayaji, and the cow unfortunately could not be brought here. And this was an ongoing regret with the father, even unto his latter days.
Here we have about 5 lithographs which are talking about my mother, mostly my mother, my grandfather, and one of my uncles. This was the first time I've done a series of lithos and shown it in my exhibition. I have never shown any lithographs earlier, though I have worked on lithos earlier. The other thing which is unique about this show is about the silver gelatin print. They are different photographs juxtaposed together, then created into a bromide, and then a print has been taken. And over that, I have painted them with the Fuji photo colors. I have also drawn with pen and ink. So that makes it very unique. I think that is something which gave me, there are 21 of these unique silver gelatin prints, which you will see around in this show.
We have a lot of works that also use time in an interesting way in terms of creating anachronistic tapestry, mixing up different temporalities and different places and locales, cross-cutting different time zones to create a beautiful tapestry of life before and after partition as imagined by Seema.
Khula Aasman has been more like a catharsis to me. Sometimes I feel we are just like memory boxes.
Khula Aasman is a metaphor. It harkens back to this anecdote that Seema shares, where her father was quizzing a young Seema, asking her, "What do you see up ahead?" And she would naively respond, she sees a friend's house, and then the father would keep prompting what they're after, and eventually her gaze alighted upon this infinity, which is the blue sky. So, blue sky throughout this exhibition acts as a metaphor or a blank canvas against which various journeys are charted.
Everything, every action that we have is, um, is a result of our past memories, and we are creating newer memories all the time by juxtaposing those older memories, and we're thinking it is something new that is happening, but it is a revival of an older memory that has already happened, or it is going to it is done by either us or by any of the known people that we have in our past. And it is very interesting, the story making that I see all the time. There are stories being narrated, and these narrated stories are creating newer narratives by our own actions.
All of these stories about phulkaris that had to be left behind, Seema's Bua, Bimla Bua, who doubled up as a compounder to the grandfather. A lot of phulkaris and share stories about how phulkari making, weaving was a collective women's enterprise that was very, very common in the region. And in fact, by the time she was 18, she had sewn up the trousseau for the entire family. And these trousseaux were often involve these fulkaris, which were bordered with crochet, which was a British craft that was assimilated within this craft. There are also small sensorial gestures within the show in the form of Madhumalti and Rajnigandha, all of these plants which managed to travel with the family, not through their physical bodies, but because they were remembered from a previous life, they became a way to find anchor in the new grounds where the family was trying to find a sense of home. So the plants became a way of uh, crafting a home in a new place. We see, for instance, Rajnikantha in a painting titled uh, eponymously. We also see Madhumalti in another painting. Um, and then we have the presence of coal and salt, which alludes to the Khebra salt mines and Dandot coal mines, very close to the village of Pindadan Khan. And we see uh, a number of terracotta pots that were designed by Seema, and the terracotta pots are from her imagination of the kind of vessels that might have been in use. So, in this way, through a range of multi-sensory artworks, we have tried to tell the story through a second generation person who uh, saw life but didn't see the partition.
As you go about this whole show, I think everyone, whether everywhere, whether it is the mirroring the past, the video that I made, it has got so many layers of voices, of sounds, of imagery, of my father's photographs, of my own videos and photographs which are taken accidentally, or the sound recordings that I've done, or some of them are Maria Wasim, my friend who visited my ancestral village and also took the photographs over there, or her memories. So it is a collective memory, I feel, and the people who have visited also, I think, are resonating. They're from different genres, different states, different countries, different backgrounds. But there is something, I think, which connects us all humanity. I think it's the love for storytelling, or it is our connections to our past, which just get awakened by data, newer material that we are collecting all the time.
शाह हुसैना वेख ले असी बदली बैठे भेस उठ शाह हुसैना वेख ले असी बदली बैठे भेस